Good morning, bonjour, ni hao, sin chao, what's up? It's me, Mr. Jordan. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at chapter 40 of The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. If you've never been to the channel before, welcome. I'm a teacher, and basically what I do here is look at novels, do some analysis of the text we read, offer study tips, advice, coursework, a little how to better organize and basically live your life as a student and achieve better grades and a little bit more of the success you're looking for. Subscribe to the channel and stick around to the end to find out the important quotes and the analysis of chapter 40 from The Handmaid's Tale. Brief recap and summary of chapter 40 from The Handmaid's Tale. In this chapter, our narrator Offred is picked up from her room back at the house, and Serena Joy, the commander's wife, is going to take her to Nick. Offred is literally just returning from the hotel room in her night out with the commander, and now she's being forced to go and see another man, Nick. Serena Joy is also pressuring her and really trying to force the issue here, because everyone in the household is now stressed that Offred has yet to become pregnant. And what's going to happen is she's going to be forced to have sex with Nick. The first quote comes right at the beginning of the chapter. And Offred is alone, trapped in her room inside the commander's household. And Atwood is essentially telling us here the timeline. She's giving us hints about the immediacy of the events in this chapter, following up on the events from chapter 39. If you haven't watched my video on chapter 39, I'll take it up right here. Have a look. And essentially what's happening is the book's building to its climax. So after so much being trapped and being imprisoned in the room and alone and reminiscing on her past life in America before Gilead, the events are now culminating. They're ramping up, and so is the speed. And this quote is Atwood letting us know that the pace of the book has changed. It's now fast and furious until the end. Quote, "I sit in the darkness. No point in having the light on to advertise the fact that I'm still awake. I'm fully dressed in my red habit again, having shed the spangles, scraped off the lipstick with toilet paper. I hope nothing shows. I hope I don't smell a bit or a pin either." This section, chapter 40, is the single chapter in a section titled Night. And she tells us, I sit in darkness. So look at the connection in the language there. Atwood's telling us and giving us explicitly the mood of this chapter. It's dark, it's scary. A lot of this book has shades of an actual horror or thriller. I don't want to advertise the fact that I'm still awake. But what does that say about her? It says she's afraid, right? She's afraid that someone's going to come. She doesn't want to alert other people in the household that she's there, so the light's off. That's why. Not because she's sleepy or tired. She was just forced to go to this nightclub and then forced to have sex with the commander, and she doesn't feel good, right? She's telling us, I shed the spangles. Well, what are the spangles? They're these bracelets, but the way she describes I shed the spangles, it sounds like she's being unchained, right? Like she's literally taking off the bracelets, which is a euphemism for handcuffs. She's back in my red habit again. And this means the costume, the red outfit, the prurient, crude, completely enclosing habit that they forced handmaids to wear. The one that, of course, was made famous by the TV show. It's also a linguistic thing here. I'm back in my habits, right? Returning to your old habits. Being trapped in this room, that's her habit. That's her routine. Look at the verbs. I scraped off my lipstick, right? This is an unenjoyable process. She's really emphasizing here the physicality, the immediacy, how unenjoyable this time is for her. I hope nothing shows. I hope I don't smell of it. What she's referring to here is the act, right? She's just had intercourse and copulated with the commander, and she wants the smell off of her. She doesn't want any trace of that man left on her body, or of him either. The second quote from this chapter is a little bit longer, and I'm sort of going to split it into two chunks. So there's the first chunk and the second chunk. And essentially what's happening here is Offred has been taken out to the former stable or barn where Nick lives. And Nick is the man, or the sort of boy, the manservant of the commander. He's the right-hand man. But the difference here, and it's key, is that Offred is also actually attracted to Nick. And just like her, he's lower in the rungs of social organization than the commander or Serena Joy, right? He's down the hierarchy. He's in that forced labor indentured camp. Because he's a man, and there's a gendered division of labor, there's a gendered hierarchy here, he's still in a place that's above Offred, but he doesn't have the same sort of force or control or power over her. And that allows them to have a very different relationship. Quote, no preliminaries. He knows why I'm here. He doesn't even say anything. Why fool around? It's an assignment. He moves away from me, turns off the lamp. Outside, like punctuation, there's a flash of lightning. Almost no pause, and then thunder. He's undoing my dress. A man made of darkness. I can't see his face. I can hardly breathe, hardly stand. And I'm not standing. His mouth is on me, his hands. I can't wait. And he's moving, already. Love. It's been so long. I'm alive in my skin. Again, arms around me, falling, and water softly everywhere, never ending. I knew it might be only once. This quote, this passage here, is really Offred receiving, for the first time in the book, a little bit of catharsis, right? She's finally getting what she wants. She's getting something that her body desires. The entire book, 40 chapters up to this point, we've been seeing her oppressed, beaten, bullied, trapped, locked up, re-educated, right? Everything has been bad. Like, cannot emphasize that enough. Everything that has happened to her character up until this point has been horrific, traumatizing. And finally, she's having this moment of reprieve, right? A moment where she gets to be herself, where she gets to feel comfortable, desirable, good in her own skin. And she's telling us that too, right? There's this hint again of the sort of horror or thriller nature of it, right? With a flash of lightning, this like punctuation, boom, a big exclamation mark. Yeah, finally, some exciting stuff. Then there's thunder and he's undoing her dress. A man made of darkness. Again, it really feels like almost like a thriller movie or horror or something, right? A man made of darkness, creeping in the night. He's moving, he's on me. And so there is really this illicit nature still, but now it's one that's thrilling to her. She's still being forced to commit the act, right? She tells us it's an assignment for her and for Nick. But the difference is the act can be enjoyed. They can subvert the meaning. They're supposed to be doing this to make a baby for the household, which will supposedly be the commander's baby and Serena Joy's baby. But that's not why they're doing it. They're doing it to feel themselves alive, to feel in their skin again. She uses the word love here. Then there's a serious break, and the second half of the quote I'm going to read for you comes in. And this is a big shift. It's essentially it's a plot twist, right? It's an authorial tool to pull the rug out from under us as a reader. Quote, I made that up. It didn't happen that way. Here's what happened. I reach the top of the stairs, knock on the door. He opens it himself. There's a lamp on. I blink. I look past his eyes. It's a single room. The bed's made up. Stripped down. Military. No pictures, but the blanket says U.S. He's in shirt sleeves. He's holding a cigarette. So, Margaret Atwood pulled a fat one. Atwood, the author, has pulled a fast one on us here. It's the classic, then I woke up from the dream and everything was different. Right? So we find out that this very dramatic, thrilling, lightning and punctuation scene where they're making love and it's a climax and it's beautiful or lovely or at least fun. It's something for Offred. Nope, she made it up. She's just stuck in her imagination. And what's happening here is that Atwood is driving home, as she has throughout the book, again and again, this is not fun. There is no moment of lightness. There's no moment of airiness. There's no moment of freedom when you're being jailed and enslaved by an oppressive state. And that's what's happening to her. The third quote comes towards the end of the chapter. And what we see in this quote, and you'll see when I do the analysis, is this is the actual culminating act, right? We've had the lead up, we've had the false climax, and now this is the real climax where Nick and Alfred do finally perform the act together. Come on, he says, we haven't got much time. With his arm around my shoulders, he leads me over to the fold-out bed, lies me down. He even turns down the blanket first. He begins to unbutton, then stroke, kisses beside my ear. No romance, he says, okay? That would have meant something else once. Once it would have meant no strings. Now it means no heroics. It means don't risk yourself for me, if it should come to that. And so it goes. And so now that we finally get to the act, we see that it's not performative at all. Right? Unlike the last quote, and the really dramatic, heightened sense of anticipation and of climax and of fulfillment, this has none of that. It's very sterile, very rote, very step by step. He begins to unbutton, he strokes, he kisses. No romance, he says. Okay. You can almost hear his flat, boring, monotone voice. This is perfunctory. This is work. This is the 9 to 5. As she said earlier, this is just their assignment. They're doing this for the commander, for Serena Joy, for Gilead, because they have to, because their lives are at risk, and they don't control their own choices. They have no freedom. There's also this reference to no strings attached, which is an idiom, and essentially no strings attached meant that nothing will follow. It meant you were just having a hookup, right? Man and a woman, or woman and a woman, or a man and a man. We're just gonna hook up, have physical contact and fun, and that was it. They weren't gonna date, they weren't gonna call each other, they weren't gonna get married. There was no strings attached. That's what the idiom means. Here she just says no strings, and I think it also adds and builds in this and connects this idea that she's not physically tied up, she's not enchained the way she was with the commander. But it also means no heroics, no romance. It means that Nick is acknowledging that they're just doing this because they're being told, and that ultimately they can't build this connection. They can't have this other relationship, right? So this is an act of love that will always be unrequited. This is an act of sedition because it's breaking all the laws. It's an act of rebellion because they're literally going against what they're supposed to be doing, right? That social hierarchy, they're jumping outside the bounds of it. The laws of Gilead, they're breaking them. And then the language right at the end, and so it goes, and so. I think this is another return to this language sort of fairy tales, and also some other books, right? That it's like on and on. It's not a happily ever after. There is no ending. It's this dragging on, incessant, interminable, constant pain, constant suffering. Remember, Gilead is a dystopian future. There's not going to be a happy ending here. Even though there's allusions and references to fairy tales, it's all going to end badly for Alfred, and Atwood's letting us know. Subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed the video or you want to see more great novel analysis, study tips, and advice on how to organize and basically run your life as a student. I'm Mr. Jordan, a teacher, and I'm here to help you. Hopefully you liked the video, and drop a comment below if you have any more questions about this chapter and you enjoyed the analysis of chapter 40 from the Handmaid's Tale. Thanks so much. Take care. See you next time.